All right, folks, millennials and money, the personal finance struggle is real. That was the headline of a recent article on moneycheck.com, and there are many other articles like that. This generation is struggling to survive on low-paying jobs, I'm told. So we've asked the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Mr. O'Neill Grant, to pay us a visit. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you for having me.
Sim already asked the question before we came on. Who is a millennial?
Okay, we refer to persons under the age of 35 as millennials in our context.
And what we're talking about now is something that's new, where young people able to get better paying jobs in previous years?
Well, it's a complex situation. It is not that they are just not able to get jobs, but the type of jobs that they are getting are not only low paid, but in terms of job security, it's almost non-existent. They're mostly employed on contracts.
And these are degreed people. These are qualified
with degrees. They can't get jobs in the areas that they are trained. And I mean, the statistics are there. If you look at the type of jobs that we are growing, storekeepers, BPO, and generally they are at the lower end of the salary spectrum.
Okay, so let me ask the question again now that you've qualified that. Is this something new?
For our country, it is not new. And that is something that we have been harping on for a very long time, that we need to attract higher value jobs to the country. We do a lot of jobs in the hotel industry. We do a lot of jobs in other types of non-manufacturing type sectors. The bauxite sector that used to employ a lot of persons who are leaving school with degrees in engineering and so forth, that's no longer there. And you hear the uproar that has now been caused coming out of Gisco Alpart. And this is something that we have been seeing creeping for a long time, that we have not just been adding high-value jobs to our economy. And as a result of that, the jobs that we are attracting to the economy are low-value jobs.
It's interesting because what you're saying echoes what Richard Biles, who's the BOJ governor, said we need to get more high-paying jobs. But we're also operating in a climate, we say, of economic buoyancy, and progress has been made, and employment is at record highs, unemployment at record low, 7-point-something%. So how we square?
It's how we define employment.
Exactly.
Because if somebody is working, doesn't matter how and where they are working, that's employment. And we're not knocking the definition of employment, but when we go to the metric,
are we painting a false picture?
It's not a sustainable picture. Because what we are looking at is mirroring, and people get angry at this, what we're looking at is mirroring what happened in the 1980s with the various textile industries that came here. They could just pull up shop and go. The jobs are not sustainable. They are not permanent in the whole context of where we want to permanently grow our employment platform. So we do recognize that, yes, the employment creation that has happened is plugging a hole. But it has not resulted in any significant growth in the economy. And one would expect that if you are having this level of employment with persons spending in the economy, then there should be some amount of growth taking place in the economy, but it's not growing. And one asks oneself the question, where is this money going? If persons are being paid, if we are recording the very highest level of employment that we have had in decades, why is our economy growing at 1%, less than 2%?
What's your answer?
That we're not adding to the value of the jobs in the economy, and most of what is earned by the higher paid or the higher income industries it's not staying in Jamaica. So if you look at the economy as a balloon, what comes into the balloon is less than what is going out. And that is where our major problem is. The greatest or the most efficient way of transferring wealth from those who have capital to those who don't is through wages.
If I leave the university and I want a home, I want a car, obviously, or I want to get married, what kind of money would I need to get on a yearly basis for me to look after?
It is. I try not to give a simplistic answer because each individual's reality is different.
It depends on different.
And so what I would normally say in a situation like that is I don't look at the acquisition of a car or a house to determine if compensation is adequate. I look at more simpler things. Am I earning enough to even go to work?
Can I eat?
Can I eat?
I
a
asked the
proper meal
question
each
because,
day?
and I'm quoting you, I think, here,
Right.
from what we've seen, the median salary is somewhere around $1 million.
It's around $1 million.
Right.
And that's enough just to sustain an individual.
So you're saying that is not enough?
That no, for someone to grow their life, somebody who is 35 years old earning less than $1 million a year.
So this is after you leave university.
You leave
You
university.
have student
you're
loans, majority of these
paying
people.
student loan, you're paying rent, or if you're even
Hence the
living with your
question,
parents.
what kind of money we're looking at?
We are thinking that about $1.5 million is a good place for
Right.
an average individual to start, that they can actually save,
Right.
invest, and consume.
What did you say, 1.5 million?
1.5 million
Okay.
for an entry-level
Right.
person coming
Right.
out of university into a job.
But things and times are also different, O'Neill. So why aren't we trying to why aren't we trying to foster more of a culture of entrepreneurship, which also has been taking off? A lot of young people, largely out of the same desperation to have income, forget about looking for a job, or many of them have their jobs and they have a hustle.
One of the things I speak to is we look at the number of the gender of persons going to university. Majority of them are women, and the throughput of that into the workspace means that we have more women in formal professional type employment. We are the men. They are the ones who are out there hustling, and that gives them a certain level of flexibility in terms of income. It is how our society has now been re-engineered, that we have basically said to our men, university is not for you because you won't be able to get paid to the level that you can maintain yourself and a family.
Yeah. You mentioned contract workers, and this came up in our parliament recently. Is the reason for that, and I guess you can't think for the employers, but is the reason for that they don't want to pay the added benefits and stuff?
That's a part of it. That's a part of it. And a part of it also is that a lot of the employers think that if they want to get rid of an employee, that it is too onerous. The system is too onerous.
It's easier if you're on contract.
It's easier if you're on contract.
How
They
you
can
get
just give
around that?
notice. By the state actually mandating what we refer to as a decent work agenda, which doesn't speak to contract employment. And if there is a contract, how the contract should be managed. In most jurisdictions, if you're on contract and it is renewed at least once, you are treated as a permanent employee with all the rights and benefits.
Does
It
that
doesn't
mean
matter.
the state will tell me how to run my company?
It won't tell you how to run your company, but it will set the foundation as to how you treat an employee who was a long-term employee.
Did you say if you renew at least once?
Once, then you are a permanent employee. You're
Really?
not subject to the rules of a contract.
Really?
That is law?
No, that's not law. And that is something that we want our country to ratify. That is recommendation 166 of the ILO. Supporting recommendation 158, which speaks to contract employment. So when persons say, the unions are against contract, we are not. We are against the worst forms of contract employment that will
take
tell an worker
advantage.
after
15
15 years, we're giving you 1 month's notice and you go home, and what happens after that?
No
Nothing.
pension, nothing like that?
Nothing at all.
So what would your advice be to the millennials?
The myriad solutions to the problem is one to continue to identify and try to seek out those jobs that you are qualified for. Seek out those employers that can actually compensate you to a level that you think you can be comfortable with. And in the meantime, continue to invest in yourself, educate yourself. At some point or the other, the investment in yourself will pay off. However, the government, our country, our employers need to set the foundation that is now going to speak to higher value jobs that we can have persons competing for. When we look across the Caribbean, Jamaica is one of the lowest paid society. I had a statistic from about 4 years ago that said that the only 2 countries in the Caribbean in the public sector that are lower paid than Jamaica was Haiti and Guyana. And if you look at the growth rate of those 2 countries and what has happened in the Guyana, we are likely to become the lowest paid Caribbean country in terms of purchasing power parity.
But that's serious, and that leaves us susceptible to our young people leaving Our highly skilled young people
That is what
leaving.
is happening. That's what is happening.
It leads us to many other things
A
too.
lot of our
because-
young people are going to other jurisdictions to work, even in the Caribbean. If you
and
look across the
informal
Caribbean.
and doing informal stuff so it leads to many different things, doesn't it?
Definitely, and the country is not able to maintain its capital stock in terms of brain power because it is going.
Brain.
Yeah.
There's a significant brain drain. Ministry of Finance.
All right,
I
my
spoke
friend.
to it some years ago.
Let's hope that it works out. I'm not certain if I should be happy. I'm not a millennial. Should I? After this
You
discussion?
could pass forward.
Eh?
You could pass forward.
Thank you. Now look at work then.
Really?
It's a fraternity
No, I'm
thing.
just
We are
gonna-
men.
No, bad mind active, as I see. Very active.
You went to
in the
Jordan's, I went to JC, so we have to
Yeah,
look up.
I can't live with that. Blue. By the way, Clive, you never catch him here. Still about. President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Mr. O'Neill Grant.
All right, we're going to meet the photographer who goes by the moniker Shot by Death in a bit. Soon come.
can make it